No doubt you've been sitting on the internet going through all the list of stuff you need to take with you, and you've got this pile of information about what sort of luggage to have, what sort of bloody equipment to put on and all of that. Forget all that. There's two things you need to consider. Where am I going? And will the bike that I'm taking help me get there? If you answer those questions, you're going to pick the right bike. Now, when it comes to gear, you need a helmet. Get a leather jacket. Wear a leather jacket, because you can wear a leather jacket whether it rains, hails or shines. If you get stuck with those mesh jackets, or you've got a summer jacket, winter jacket, interchangeable jacket, all that nonsense sort of jacket, guess what you got? Bulk that you're carrying that you don't need. Now, you're going to go camping when you're away? Well, you can if you want. If you do, chuck a swag on the back of your bike. But why don't you just get out there and stop in pubs, meet some people along the way, stop in little country motels. Don't pre-book anything, just go and enjoy it. Modern motorcycle manufacturers all over the world are building retro motorcycles, and they're selling like mad. And I think the reason for it is that we all remember the simplicity of when we got our first motorbikes and how they opened up the world to us. I can remember when I bought my first motorbike, the salesman told me if I bought a motorbike, I got the roads for free. How true that was. I'll never forget it. The fact that you could just push the button and off you go anywhere you like. Put a toothbrush in your pocket and head off. Well, here's one of those retro style motorcycles. It's the Royal Enfield Continental GT 535. So here's the Murray. Residential. Alright, well, let's take a look at this little bike. 500cc single, and you can hear it. Just that typical old 500 single thump. Tells you that this motorcycle has got a bit of a history to it. And the history of the Royal Enfield motorcycle is really quite interesting. It's the oldest manufacturer of motorcycles in the world today. They were originally built in England in the 40s and 50s. A whole series of Royal Enfields were sold to India for the Indian Army. And went with that deal went with the tooling, so that they could keep manufacturing those bikes and keep them on the road. Well, Royal Enfield in England ultimately went broke in the 60s, and the end result was that only left India manufacturing Royal Enfield. And India continued to manufacture the Royal Enfields in their original 1950s styling all the way through to the mid-90s. But in recent years, they've retooled and redesigned the Enfield. But when they've done that, they've kept hold of everything that was likeable about the old bikes. The 500cc single-cylinder engine now has a unit construction. It's more modern and fuel injected, so it's a more user-friendly motorcycle, but it feels and rides just like the originals. The little Continental GT is something pretty special because they wanted to make it right. They wanted to pay homage to the original Enfields of the 60s. And there was a cafe racer in the 60s that would look very, very similar to this one, but it was a 250. And in order to capture the essence of that motorcycle, they went to the famous motorcycle frame manufacturers in England, Harris, who've built this twin down tube frame, very similar to the Norton Featherbed. And they've then gone about putting in the motor and that lovely traditional style. This little bike here, and again I ride it just like I ride any other bike. I expect it to behave like any other bike. It's got to do miles, and it does do miles. We've done about 17,000 kilometres on this bike since I've had it, and it hasn't let me down and shows no sign of doing so. I think the truth is, if you ride them within their capabilities and you look after them, they're just as reliable and just as well built as many other bikes on the market. They really have hit the mark in recent years, Royal Enfield. They're starting to build on that history. They haven't lost sight of the fact that they are the oldest motorcycle manufacturer in the world. But that's the little Royal Enfield Continental GT. Nothing super flash about it, but a hell of a lot of fun. An idea of good quality, with everything you need on a bike to enjoy. It's a modern classic, and certainly well worth putting in your shed.